So I'm here to talk to you about iPastels, which is a free downloadable application that you can find in the App Store or in iTunes. It's a great way for students to practice or emulate the technique of using oil pastels or chalk pastels. We have a few pictures here that I just wanted to show you of renditions that people use. We have the pear, and you can see the great shadows and the cast shadow with the lights. And you can see how someone did a little bit of rubbing with some of the tools to kind of create a little bit of those lights and darks coming together. And it's a great tool to use in the classroom because it's free and might be a great time for center work, or even if a student before doing their final sketch, it would be a great way for them to practice before getting on that final paper. Pastels are crayons that are made of powdered pigments, and they're bound with either gum or resin, and you can create works of art with them. The picture that you see here is your typical oil pastel. They probably see them in the classrooms. They come in a big box, and you can actually use your finger to do a little bit of blending to get those lights and dark colors. Pastels date back to prehistoric cave paintings in southern France, Spain, and South Africa. Early artists used these pigments to produce red, white, and ochre earth pigments and burnt bone. And that's how they got their first colors. And in 1675, Rosalba Carrera became the first popular painter with this new medium. And what's so exciting is that not only was she female, but she was able to master this new medium and become quite fashionable. She used rubbing and blending with to make that soft, delicate feeling. And then we have John Singleton Copley, who was a colonial artist who produced at least 55 pastel portraits before he left for England in 1774. And it's a rare achievement because not only these pastels were difficult to work with, but they were costly and a bit rare. And I'm pointing out some of these artists because I want you to take a peek to see how you could be able to use this on iPastel and see if you could kind of mimic or create your own feelings. And because portrait painting was expensive and it was a way for the early colonists to document furniture or family or houses, not many people trusted artists to use these pastels. But here's one on the left. His name is Ebenezer Storer, and he was painted in 1767. And I think a couple really good things that John Singleton Copley was great with doing, and he was known for his fabrics. But if you take a look at this hat, you can see definitely that velvet, and it gives you that sense of velvet. And you can see how he blended in those lights and dark colors to create light in the shadows, which gives it the folds and the feelings. Same way with the jacket here too, that silk. He did a great job of blending in the lights and the darks to give you that idea of folds. Chardin was a French painter. He was a master of still life, and he also brought pastels to life. And here's a self-portrait. And again, I wanted to bring up a picture so that you can kind of get the idea of some things that you could do on iPastels. See how his scarf, he does a really great job of making it look transparent, especially here over on the, right here on his back. It almost looks like that scarf. You get the feeling that it's silk and that it's very light. Versus his jacket, is it canvas, is it leather? But again, you have this idea that it's very durable, and that's just the way that he was able to masterfully blend his colors. Renoir, another French artist who was a master with pastels. I love especially the light that hits the crown of this little girl's forehead, and you can imagine the kind of some flyaway hair, but just how masterfully he used pastels. And Impressionism is kind of characterized by rapid, spontaneous loose brush strokes, and he did that with the pastels, just those lights and darks. Degas, this is one of my favorites, and I like this one because the dark and the lights right next to one another, in the way that here you can see the light hit her shoulders, or just the transparency. You can feel the transparency or the tulle of the skirt. So what is iPastel? It's an app that allows artists of all levels to simulate the same technique and medium of pastels. It mimics that soft chalk. So you can do that soft chalk of Degas with his the skirt, the transparency, and oil pastels and color blending. And it tries to be as realistic as possible. And artists are able to synthesize this idea of something. They can come up with an idea of something to paint, and then use this as a preliminary sketch before actually using a final canvas or a final paper. So it's a little bit of a cost saving, as well as just a way for students to practice and get some experience. And where do you find iPastel? It's a free app. There is an upgrade for $4.99, but I don't think it's necessary. I think that your students can actually get the same for free. I think it's a great option. And it's you find it in the App Store, you find it in iTunes, you just download it. And then once you get started, here's your canvas. And as you can see, you have an array of colors here. And then you have all these different tools. Like for instance, up here, this is the thickness of your chalk. And then this is kind of the saturation of it. And actually, as you pick a color, I'll show you here in a few minutes, if you go over, like let's say I would pick this brown, and if I just keep going over in brown, if I kind of did several strokes, if I went over a couple times, that might be really dark. And then maybe 2 times it'd be a little bit lighter, and then 1 time. So you would get that chance of going from dark to light. And then if you want up here, which is the Q-tip, you can do some blending. Let's say I make a mistake. I just go straight to that arrow, and that will undo all of that work that maybe, or the last step that I want to. Here's the finger so that you can do that blending. And then different brushes to kind of give some different, especially if you go back to Renoir's with her hair, that might be another tool to use. And I'm going to see if I can just give you a couple seconds just to show you. I'll put it right up here. I don't know if you can see this. So the app is quite simple to use. What I'm going to do is, like for instance, if I pick this darker color, I might go right here, and then I might pick this yellow color and go right next to it. So I'm getting the sense of light and dark. And then I might go a little bit lighter right here. And then if I wanted to, put that right here. Then you can use what I said with the cotton swab, where you kind of put those colors in together. If you wanted to use your finger, that's another technique that you can use for blending. See how I'm kind of pulling that color down? And then let's say I don't like that, just go to the arrow, and it takes away the last thing that I did. Whoop. There we go. And this is how big my strokes are going to be. And I can make them smaller and smaller. See, you have those techniques. And then when you're done, you just hit this picture here. And then you can save it, and it saves to your photos. And then your students it'll save to your photos on your iPad. And then that way you can email them, you can put them on your smartboard. There are a couple different ideas that you can do with that. So enjoy, it's a fun tool, And my next presentation, I'll show actually people that are students, going to work with fourth grade students to show you some different ideas so that we can get those 4Cs, the collaboration, communicating, critical thinking, and see how this application you can use in your classroom to do a couple different collaborative works. Thank you.